Fallout series has changed a lot since its inception. From a bleak satire of America, set in an unforgiving hellscape where your only friends are the bodies of those who perished before you, to a wacky co-op adventure where you can have fun nuking each other and dress up in silly outfits. Whoa! Do you want to reject tradition and embrace modernity? Do you want to explore the wastes with a huge company of jackasses by your side? Do you want to have a wholesome post-nuclear road trip to save your tribe from destruction? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then Can You Beat Fallout 2 as a group is for you. Side effects may include laughing, crying, regretting your life choices, suicidal thoughts or actions, halitosis, or organ rupture. Ask your doctor if Can You Beat Fallout 2 as a group is right for you. Real talk, since the first Fallout game, there's been a multitude of compadres, amigos, and pack mules to make the grass a little less dead on the other side. From the literal backstabber Ian to the ever-immortal Dogmeat to...
My wife's dead.
And even... there's always someone to help you through your adventures, or just get in your way.
Be aware that your dog is also an absent-minded little shit who enjoys standing in doorways, often blocking life-saving escape routes. In the event of dog blockage, just remember to kick the fucker!
Fans of Nerbit will know his As a Group videos, where he collects every companion in the game and uses them to sow chaos in the wasteland while sitting back and watching it unfold. Well, today I thought I'd apply that rule set to one of the classics, Fallout 2. The rules are pretty much a Xerox of Nerbits. I can only deal damage with companions, and I'll try my best to collect them all throughout the course of the playthrough. While this may seem impossible due to the lack of modding, there's actually a handy trick I'll talk about later that'll let me accomplish the same thing. If any of our companions die, that's okay, we can still go on with the challenge. Basically, this playthrough will consist of me sitting on my ass and occasionally stabbing my friends with syringes while they do all the work for me. With all that aside, let's get started. In character creation, I go with the gifted trait because why not, and the good-natured trait because it's not like I'm going to be fighting much anyway. For my special stats, I go with 6 strength to roleplay as Lydia, 2 perception since I won't be aiming in VATS, 10 endurance to act as my party's tank, 10 charisma to get as many companions as possible, 8 intelligence for skills like repair and science, 9 agility to move around more effectively, and 2 luck in hopes of getting the pariah dog. Spoiler alert, that never happened. I then name myself Cassie Nova, since my character is part alien, and pick my tag skills. Speech for interpersonal relations, Sneak, which I never end up using, and Lockpick for getting all the good shit. To summarize the main plot, just replace Vault 13 with Arroyo, water with food, and the water chip with the Gek. Hell, the Chosen One is even a descendant of the OG Vault Dweller, as if it couldn't be more on the nose. We start the game naked and afraid in Olmec's temple, and for how we get through this,
the choices are yours and yours alone.
As for me, I take the simple route, getting far enough away from some ants that I can end combat and use my tag skill to lockpick the door, using my 9 agility to dodge the wall traps, getting C4 from a pot and using it to blow up a door, and myself, as I thought a 10-second timer would mean 10 real-life seconds, setting it for a more reasonable time and playing Ring Around the Rosie with a scorpion until it goes off, swiping the last key from a man who pays no mind to the giant man-eating ants around him, and finally escaping into the great outdoors of my village, and immediately start shoving their dwindling resources into my invisible backpack. I also learned PK Thunder from Lucas, chat with Mama Murphy, and get my first companion in the form of Smoke, although that doesn't last long. Making it to clam math, I accept a quest to guard Tor's Brahmin in the naive assumption that he would actually, help. Since I can't attack, I run away like a little bitch. I then loot Vic's shack for a pipe rifle, proving that no, Bethesda did not ruin Fallout with pipe weapons, get another dog pseudo-companion, barter a bit, and embark on a quest to save Whiskey Bob's distillery. Since I can't attack, this quest consists of me getting gangbanged by geckos until I somehow find a way to wiggle around them. I then meet a totally not offensive tribal stereotype who gives us some info and lets us in on a debt we can pay off, which I get started on by collecting my pay from Whiskey Bob. Saving Smiley might also give me some goodwill, so I head to the Toxic Caves, which aren't too bad due to some boots I can pick up at the start, and I even level up from healing a whopping 5 hit points. I get speech to 100 and put points into science, sneak, lockpick, and repair. Unfortunately, I can't rescue Smiley until all the geckos are unalived, so I'll have to revisit this later. At least I can get my first real companion of the run, Sulik, who is well versed in unarmed and melee combat due to his tribal background, and submachine guns because the animators couldn't be bothered to give him more sprites. Sulik can make quick work of the geckos above ground, but the ones in the tunnels are too much for him and he bleeds out. I then attempt to do a classic cheese strat, but some Enclave mixes my ashes in with the sand. You see, what I'm trying to do is the Navarro run, where you can get some power armor and other goodies right off the bat. However, what I didn't realize is that you can't discover the base until you talk to the Brotherhood guy in San Fran, so I wasted a bunch of time meandering around. After some Scientologists blow up a press gang, I take some nice loot from their corpses, namely rippers and power fists. I try to give it to Sulik, but I forget it takes small energy cells like an idiot. In San Fran, I steal a man's money and use it to trade with him, getting an electric lockpick, a tool I never ended up using, and a normal lockpick. Getting the coordinates to Navarro, I tell Sulik to wait for me and begin safe scumming my way to the gas station. On the way, I come across a very subtle nod to Fallout 1 with some knee-splitting, so meta humor, and miss Dogmeat since he blended into the background, not like I could bring him to Navarro anyway. One thing that doesn't make much sense is that despite wearing a vault suit, the Enclave just put me down instead of trying to kidnap me for experimentation. Passing a speech check levels me up, where I get the strong back perk to hold on my upcoming new gear and put points into first aid, repair, and lockpick. One landmine to the pinky toe later, I talk to Gunnery Sergeant Hartman.
Welcome to Camp Navarro. So you're the new replacement. You are out of uniform, soldier! Where is your power armor?
Grab a shit ton of high-end weapons and some power armor from the lockers, free an intelligent Deathclaw, take that, Chris Avalone, and engage in a lot of walking around and talking to get some vertebrate plans, leveling up and increasing lockpick, steel, and repair. Despite the cookie-cutter power armor I'm wearing, the Enclave still shoot me on sight, so some more safe scumming is needed to get back to San Fran. Giving the vertebrate plans to the Brotherhood levels me up not once, not twice, not thrice, but quite times, where I get the Quick Pockets perk and put points into all sorts of different skills. I also get access to a bunch of weapons and other gear, so much so that I have to use Sulik as a pack mule just to carry it all. I end up giving Sulik a set of Brotherhood power armor, so we both take minimal damage from basically everything. I use some of this god gear to get a bunch of super and normal stimpaks, give the vertebrate plans to the She, and get a task to assassinate a Hubologist leader, strip for Dogmeat, and make my way over to the NCR, where I see a cyber dog, one of the potential companions for this run. I need to up my science skill before I can get him, however. I then accept a quest from President Tandy, whose in-game sprite looks completely different for some reason, and head to New Reno where I meet a developer of Fallout the Frontier. If you don't know what New Reno is, it's basically New Vegas but without the stupid walls in the middle and more drugs. Oh, and a lot more meta references. Doing a courier job for the Poundland Omertas, I meet another potential companion, Myron, the mass murderer, slaver, and non-consensual sexual activity-ist. In short, a perfect person to parade around the wastes in the hopes that he gets hit with a stray bullet. I can't reach him yet, as his guards are in the way, so for now I turn in my progress, get some cash for helping murder a dude, and get another task to become a debt collector. I head into the den, making a pit stop at Redding on the way, and talk to a literal ghost. Not a hologram or a hallucination, just a straight-up ghost. So don't complain about Bethesda adding sillier supernatural things to Fallout, okay? Attempting to lockpick Vic's cell causes the Slavers Guild to turn hostile, which was exactly my intention. Sulik doesn't do much damage with a sledgehammer, but he knocks enemies down and causes them to lose their turn, making him very useful. Dogmeat can attack enemies a lot in a single turn, and does decent damage while also knocking enemies on the floor for a long time. All I have to do is hit the turn button over and over and occasionally heal my friends as the slavers drop like flies. For wiping out the Slavers Guild, I level up, getting the bonus move perk and getting just enough skill points to boost my science to 80, allowing me to get the Cyber Dog. Vic is my next companion, who I give some Brotherhood combat armor and a pulse pistol. With my newfound compadres, I clear out the caves of geckos and use my skills to reboot the generator and go downstairs, where a sentry bot fires an inordinate amount of ordnance at us. Somehow, a dog and a shirtless dude with a sledgehammer, because Vic hid like a little bitch, are able to score enough criticals to take the metal behemoth down, letting me grab a bunch of loot. Also, I love the noise you make when you walk across toxic goo without boots. Apparently, in order to rescue Smiley, you need to wait until he's about to leave. Oh well, a minor inconvenience later, I get $100 and the knowledge of how to skin geckos. Apparently, walking around in an irradiated, sandy, disease-ridden environment without proper foot care can lead to bunions. I'm sure it'll clear up on its own. I take a quest to fight off some wild dogs, since I assume my followers would, help. I end up having to watch as the Brahmin are slaughtered before my eyes as I leave this town behind to give Grisham some time to cool down. Looks like this is where Obsidian got the inspiration for Nipton. I get taken into a society of the voiceless, the slags, and while I consider delivering their message, I quickly change my mind and pickpocket a girl so they all turn hostile. Dogmeat and Sulik end up being the MVPs here, as while Vic does good damage, he also misses most of his shots. Meanwhile, Dogmeat shreds through everyone like a lawnmower, while Sulik offers support with his hammer. Taking out the slags isn't that difficult, more so just time consuming. On my way back to Modoc, I come across a group of homeless beggars, so I drop some dry meat on the ground to stop their complaints. I convince Modoc that they should attack the slags, and when I get there, everyone is gone, even the children.
And not just the men, but the women. And the children, too.
Jeez, that got darker faster than I expected. No time for lamenting, as I've got to pick up Lenny, a ghoul medic in the town of Gecko, and my next companion. I also talk to Harold, the sapling in his head getting me excited for my upcoming Fallout 3 run, and give Lenny a deagle, which he almost never uses because he's a coward! Broken Hills is our next stop, where I attempt to buy some stimpaks and metal armor, but run into an issue where I can't sell a specific amount of ammo. I guess the Chosen One's tribe never taught him arithmetic. Marcus is the next companion on our list, who you might know from Fallout New Vegas, and getting him is a bit more involved. You have to, predictably, fix everyone's problems in Broken Hills before he decides to join your squad. Fallout 2, the only game where you can play chess against a giant mutated scorpion. My first task is to go to New Reno and get some parts to fix the mine's air purifier, but not before fulfilling my dream job as a
Number 7. Student watches porn and gets naked.
After collecting Mordino's dues, he instructs me to kill Hector Salamanca, which I accomplish by first clearing out his guards and then stealing his oxygen tank in a disturbingly drawn-out sequence.
Last chance to look at me, Hector.
Just when I think it's over, we have to fight more thugs in his bar, which turns out to be a good thing as it levels me up, letting me increase repair, first aid, and barter. And with that, I'm now officially a part of the Mordino crime family. My first action as a crime lord is to recount a tribal smut fanfiction to an old man and get a death stare in response. God, I love this game sometimes. What's important is that I get the filter part from him and go down into the radon-filled caves to replace it. Since my power armor has a respirator, I don't have to worry much, although I do leave my followers outside the cave. A few bugs stand in my way, but it's child's play to walk past them. Going past some more bugs leads me to a note that implicates Francis in the killing of some Broken Hills residents. I do the reasonable thing and let him go so he can atone for his sins. With those errands out of the way, I can finally add Marcus to my party. Oh, and apparently you can kill Myron's guards without consequence, so I do that and pick up the snot-nosed brat as another follower. Well, I would say that if I didn't have a full party already. To alleviate this, I commit mass murder over a flight of stairs and level up, putting points into first aid, barter, and steal. Heading upstairs, I leave all my companions behind, which will be important for a trick I'll do later, and give Myron his needler gun and a set of reinforced leather armor. As expected, he gets mauled to death by a pack of Deathclaws in his first combat encounter. 2 obligatory Monty Python references later, I buy enough Stimpaks and Super Stimpaks to euthanize an elephant and try to get Fung's auto dock working so I can amputate my toe, but apparently there's only one working auto dock in the game. Wish I knew that before I wasted a trip. Of note is that Myron is the only companion who not only actively complains about being told to wait, but literally bribes you to let him follow you around. Anyways, nabbing a module from an Enclave locker and using Super Stimpaks to kill the scientist in charge of the Robo-Dog allows me to pick him up as a companion. While you may object to this, keep in mind that Super Stimpak assassinations don't award EXP and don't count as combat, so I say it's fair game. Now I've got an insufferable geek and a robot dog by my side, and honestly, I hope the former gets mauled by the latter. To get my next companion, which also happens to be a robotic dog, I have to test out Doc Henry's mutant conversion therapy theory, which I don't agree with, but hey, a robot dog is a robot dog. Doc Henry is another character you might know from New Vegas. Before I do that, I head to the squat and am tasked with saving someone's runaway daughter who is described as being a tomboy. Now, where have I heard that before? Rescuing her is as easy as intimidating a door guard, but now I've got to decide how to resolve the conflict in the squat. Making decisions scares me, so I go to Broken Hills and test the mutagenic serum on... Well, probably should have saved that for Frank Horrigan, but whatever. On my way to New Renal Gland, I come across a Monty Python reference again. Only this time, I prove to him that yes, words can hurt much harder than sticks and stones. The robes he wears are as good as combat armor but with half the weight, so I keep them around just in case. I want to dig up the graves in Golgotha for a map, but I need a shovel for that, so I have to go all the way back to Broken Hills to buy one. Disrespecting the dead and the undead turns out to be a waste of time, as you need a high perception to spot the map in one of the graves. All that really does is get me some mediocre loot and take my karma level, and due to my relationship with the Mordinos, the funny plane inventor won't tell me the location of the Sierra Army Depot. This means, unfortunately, Skynet is unavailable as a companion. I go back to Reno and pick up Dogmeat, Sulik, Marcus, and Vic, getting the squad back together. This turns out to be a mistake, as after getting access to Henry's Cyberdog, I have to push them all out of the way so I can escape his walkway. It was also a mistake since I have to ditch Myron in the NCR so I can pick up the Cyberdog, but honestly, I'm more than okay with that. At Vault 15, I steal from a guard to get my party to take care of the ones outside, and then head deeper inside to clear out the entrance. With Vic's pulse gun, Marcus's minigun, and 2 ankle biters, they never really stood a chance. The same goes for the inside, and before you know, I've got the location of Vault 13. Giving Marcus a pulse rifle turns out to be a good idea, as he uses it to easily dispatch John Bishop and his cronies. This levels me up, where I get the Action Boy perk and put points into First Aid, Steel, and Science. I also end up slaughtering an entire casino, but let's not dwell on that. Back at the NCR, I pick up Myron's happy ass and trek to the Holy 13, which is now infested with sapient talking Deathclaws. Honestly, I kinda like these guys. Some may think they are a bit too silly, but I don't see how they're much sillier than talking zombies, Hulk wannabes, and iRobots. I kinda want to see them in Fallout 5, even if it's just one of them as an Easter egg or something. I think the game being isometric and sprite-based makes it more believable, as you don't have to hear a human voice coming out of a giant lizard. Back on topic, I anticlimactically pick up the Gek from a locker and pick up my next companion, Gorus. He's only a runt though, so he's not too overpowered. There's only one real companion left to get, and that's Cassidy, the father of Rose of Sharon Cassidy from New Vegas. To pass the citizenship test, you have to get your mutated toe amputated, so I do exactly that, eat it, and sadly do not get the "you just ate your fucking toe" message. To get in, you first have to get a day pass, and you can't have any chems on you. I just shove a backpack worth of medical supplies into a shelf and hope nobody takes them. As it turns out, I didn't actually need to enter Vault City, as the guy I'm looking for is outside the gate. Talking to first Bitcheson Lynette, who bears an uncanny resemblance to another villain from an Obsidian game, she rejects a reasonable solution to the Gecko power plant problem, and so I leave her to let her sulk in her privilege and Mentats addiction. Picking up Cassidy is easy as pie, and I give him a combat shotgun and combat armor to make him really shine. Remember when I said Cassidy was the last real companion? About that. In the town of Modoc, you can find Miria, who you can have intimate relations with. After Grisham, her father, finds you banging his daughter, he forces you into a shotgun wedding with her. Now she's your wife and will follow you around forever. She's no good in combat, or for anything else really, which is why I don't count her as a real companion. Also, you gotta love Myron complaining about no women in our chicken shit outfit when I literally just pick one up. Another annoyance is that after having intimate relations, you have to pick up all your items off the ground individually. Oh man, I bet Hakunin is gonna be so happy to see I have the get. Oh, apparently the town was invaded by FromSoft.
Dark Souls game.
Also, it makes me uncomfortable how Hakunin describes the genocide of my tribe like Zap Brannigan describes sex.
The spirit was willing, but the spearheads were weak.
The spirit is willing, but the flesh is spongy and bruised.
We're in the home stretch now, and it's up to me, or more accurately, my friends, to save my people from destruction at the hands of the Enclave. As I try to pick up the rest of my amigos, we get into a massive battle with Bishop's men, me having to dole out stim packs like a Pez dispenser, and watch as we paint the streets of New Reno red. As the dust clears, I level up, putting points into Steel, First Aid, Traps, and Repair. Now this is the trick I was talking about earlier. By sleeping with Mr. Bishop's wife, it tricks the game into thinking I'm alone, meaning I can have all 10 of my companions, plus my wife, with me at once. Speaking of my wife, she's absolutely useless and I need to infiltrate Navarro, which I can't do with a companion. But she loves me so much that she refuses to leave my side. So I stab her with 4 super stim packs and watch her die slowly and painfully over the course of 10 minutes, foaming at the mouth and seizing in agony. Hey, it's cheaper than a divorce. Inside the Enclave base, I smooth talk my way into getting the key fob, and for some reason have to get K9 again. I guess I loaded a save before I got him and didn't realize. To kill AHS-9, I antagonize him through dialogue and then escape as K9 noms him to death. This levels me up, where I get science to 100 and put points into repair and sneak. I also get access to the She's Emperor, who turns out to be a computer. After getting some hypodermic needles from a strangely familiar crashed ship, I used a sleeping glitch to get the gang together and use them to clear out the aliens that are, for some reason, chilling in the lower deck of the ship. This might take a while, so I'll just... Unfortunately, Vic died in the aftermath. He will be missed. One spleen later, I level up, getting the Action Boy perk and spreading my points between sneak and repair. After buying more stims and super stims, using the key fob, installing the navcom parts, and refueling the tanker, I level up once again, getting repair to 100 and distributing my points between first aid, sneak, and steal. Finally, we get the ship running and sail to the Enclave oil rig. I level up for a third time, putting points into Steel, Sneak, and Doctor. Unfortunately, I'm unable to bring my companions on the rig for an epic battle, since they just get disintegrated. So I, sadly, have to tell them to wait and go in solo. One very annoying electric floor puzzle and a new set of power armor later, I have a chat with Joe Biden.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to
Super Stimpack him to death and take his authorization, intimidate a nuclear power plant worker to blow up the entire rig, and level up for the last time, getting the Dodger perk and putting points into First Aid and Doctor. I fail the speech check with Granite and his squad, but luckily you can just back out of dialogue and try as many times as you want. Them, mixed with a bunch of turrets, is more than enough to put the big unfriendly giant down for good. Yeah, to all those glazers who said Frank Horrigan could beat Goku, this one's for you.
Hey, yo, what the fuck? What the hell?
hope you bulletproof for this about to hurt.
Frank dies, sets a self-destruct in the middle of an already occurring self-destruct just to spite me, dies again, and dies for a third time as the oil rig turns into a fireworks show. And with that, I've proven that yes, you can beat Fallout 2 as a group. In conclusion, skirting around the waste and picking up buddies left and right was a fun experience. It felt like I was amassing an army to fight by my side. As for the use of the Navarro run, well, this game can get brutally difficult depending on where on the map you are, so I felt like taking any advantage I could was justified. If you feel differently, you know where the dislike button is. Watching my squad beat down and shoot at my enemies was satisfying, and playing the role of a medic was quite a deviation from a normal playthrough to say the least. It's a shame I couldn't get my crew to face Frank Horrigan, but oh well. Remember to like the video if you liked it, or dislike the video if you disliked it, and leave constructive criticism so I can improve. Also, consider subscribing if you want to see more content like this in the future. Comment your ideas for runs down below. I do read them and they might become